Welcome to Wayne State University Law School's 2020 virtual commencement. While I know we are not in the same physical space right now, I also know that a great many members of our community are gathered around their screens, watching this together at this very moment. Members of the Board of Governors and the administration, faculty, staff, parents, grandparents, siblings, children, friends, alumni, and especially, and of course, members of the Wayne Law class of 2020. Thank you all for joining us in honoring and celebrating our graduates as they follow in the footsteps of so many of our distinguished alumni and serve the public as advocates for justice. This is a time for celebration, but it is also bittersweet because this is not the party that any of us had so hoped for. For that, I'm very sorry. All of us, faculty, staff, your friends and family, wanted nothing more than to spend today at the Opera House. I promise, while it won't be the same, we will make it up to you. I started my time as dean of this law school just days before many of our graduates began their journey as 1Ls. And graduates, since you walked through our doors for the first time, I have witnessed firsthand the resilience, poise, and empathy that defines you, the class of 2020. I can say with complete confidence that if you ever had any doubts about your ability to handle adversity or the demands of our profession, the way you've handled yourselves during your time here emphatically ought to vanquish them. COVID-19 changed everything. While you were wrapping up a rigorous final semester of law school, you also were faced with unprecedented challenges. I saw your resilience as you pivoted from in-person to online classes in a matter of days and adapted to seemingly never-ending uncertainties surrounding everything from the bar exam to post-graduation employment to long-planned trips and events. I saw your poise as you handled the repeated disappointments of knowing you wouldn't get to take just one more live class with your friends, or pop into that favorite professor's office to ask a question, or carry through on fun and meaningful activities like your planned revival of the law school's ambulance chase fundraiser. And I saw your empathy as you somehow found the time between class and work to care for ill family members or friends, nurture children who suddenly weren't at school, or share outlines and wisdom with fellow classmates in need. Throughout all of this, you didn't complain or ask for a different hand of cards. You just handled it, and you did so with grace and courage. This class has faced other challenges as well. You've grieved the loss of two dear classmates, Joy Brickerson and David Janer, classmates whose memory we will carry with us always. And in the midst of the pandemic and all of its upheaval, you did not hesitate when faced with one of the biggest, most important, and most enduring challenges of our time and of generations before us, confronting and beginning to dismantle the endemic, systematic, and structural racism that has infected our country for over 400 years. That scourge was brought into sharp relief in May by the senseless killing of yet another unarmed black man at the hands of the police, George Floyd. In response, you raised your voices and advocated for change, not just at the law school, but also in the greater community, joining in peaceful protests, organizing events and anti-racism workshops and resources, and using your training to work as legal observers for the National Lawyers Guild. As a class, you faced these challenges unflinchingly, but that's not all you did. Throughout your time at the law school, you contributed in ways big and small. You logged long hours serving the community through pro bono projects and in clinics, applying what you learned in the classroom to assist real-world clients and advocating for everyone from inventors trying to patent their work, to Detroit residents trying to realize their dream of starting a business, to cancer patients, asylum seekers, and others facing some of the darkest and most difficult moments of their lives. Among our graduates are members of the Disability Law Clinic class that sued the Law School Admission Council over a section of the LSAT, the notorious logic game section, that unfairly advantaged sighted over blind law school applicants. That case resulted in a groundbreaking settlement that will ensure that future law school admissions tests are accessible to blind individuals on fair and equal terms. Black Law Student Association leaders in this class organized the inaugural Be the Change event, bringing 60 middle schoolers from David Ellis Academy to the law school. That hands-on experience taught young people the fundamentals of public speaking and argumentation, empowering them to develop core critical thinking and debate skills, a sort of window into law school for middle schoolers that boosts confidence and self-esteem. And this year, for the first time, 2 teams from Wayne Law advanced to the final rounds of the ABA National Appellate Advocacy Competition. Several members of those teams are among this class. I could go on. This is just a small slice of what our graduates already have done and contributed as students. Just think of what they will do as lawyers. Graduates, when I say that you earned this moment, I could not mean it with more sincerity or admiration. Congratulations to each and every one of you. It's now my great honor to introduce our keynote speaker. Angela Povolitis is a member of Wayne Law's class of 2000. She started law school thinking she'd be an environmental attorney, but it was Professor Peter Henning's criminal procedure class that honed her interest in criminal justice. 20 years later, her career centers on advocating for victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse. She was the lead prosecutor on the case against Larry Nassar, and instrumental in arranging for 156 of his victims to give impact statements during sentencing, a moment in which she says she witnessed the remarkable transformation from victim to survivor. Now, Angela is a staff attorney for the governor-appointed Michigan Domestic and Sexual Violence Prevention and Treatment Board. Please join me from wherever you are watching in welcoming Angela Povolitis.
Thank you, Dean Birschbach, for that warm introduction. Welcome and congratulations to the Wayne Law Class of 2020. I am humbled and honored to deliver the keynote address, especially as this year marks my own 20th anniversary of graduating from Wayne Law. I wish we could celebrate this important milestone together. And congratulations also to the family, friends, and support networks who have helped each of you reach this impressive milestone. You have all demonstrated tremendous determination, perseverance, and resiliency, especially over the course of these last few months. You finished your last semester remotely and studied and sat for the bar exam. No small feats at all. And you have done so all while living through a global pandemic, which has brought with it tremendous health, economic, and emotional hardships and uncertainties. The dean told me that this class particularly is especially committed to social justice issues, and as he described, is public-spirited. We need that focus and commitment more than ever as we confront systemic racism, historic injustices, police brutality, and work to reform institutions. Activism can bear out in many ways, and you all, as newly minted Wayne lawyers, are especially well prepared to find opportunities to fight for causes you believe in, to help empower the powerless and shed light on injustice in whatever form it takes. You may not realize it now, but each and every one of you holds within you the power to change lives and change history. As the dean mentioned, I was the lead prosecutor on the Larry Nassar, Michigan State University, United States Gymnastics Association sexual abuse case. During those 2 years, my experience, education, and opportunities helped me empower hundreds of women to find their own voice and demand justice from not only their abuser, but the institutions that enabled him. As a result, legislation was passed, leaders were called to task and forced to resign, and protections were put in place to help countless other young women and men. While many of you know the Nassar case, I want to share the story of another case, one much lesser known but no less important, one that fuels my own activism and advocacy. Specifically, I want to tell you about the survivor from that case, Shawana Hall. Shawana has had a tremendous impact on me both personally and professionally, and continues to guide my work and fuel my passion for victim advocacy, especially for victims marginalized by race and class. Shawana was so much more than a sexual assault survivor. She was funny, a fierce mom who deeply loved her children, family, and friends. She lit up a room and could make others laugh and instantly feel at ease. And she was braver than almost every person I've ever met. She found the endurance to fight for justice for close to 10 years, and she displayed the courage and the strength to battle the effects of a lifetime of traumatic experiences, including a brutal kidnapping and rape that led our paths to cross. By the time we met, I'd been a prosecutor for well over a decade. I spent time gaining her trust and that of her family. I wanted her to know that I was going to fight for long overdue justice for her. You see, Shawana did everything we ask a victim to do. She reported her assault right away. She went to the hospital and had an evidence collection or a rape kit done. Yet her case sat uninvestigated for years, despite DNA evidence identifying a perpetrator and linking him to more than a dozen reported rapes across multiple states spanning 20 years. Those other victims had much in common with Shawana. They were all women of color with intersecting challenges. Many were poor, suffering from drug or alcohol dependency, and had limited job and educational opportunities. Their reports were met with skepticism by police and prosecutors, and their cases went uncharged for years, while at the same time, the rapist continued his interstate crime spree. I wanted to do right by Shawana. She had trusted others in the past and had been disappointed and let down. So in September of 2017, as many of you were in the first weeks of your law school career, I sat with Shawana in a courtroom for close to 2 weeks, prosecuting the case against her rapist. It's important to note and remember that this was a month prior to the explosion of the Time's Up and Me Too movements. Shawana Hall, like many before her, spoke up before doing so made her part of a movement. And in some ways, she helped pave the path for this worldwide reckoning. But when Shawana said Me Too, the jury told her and victims like her, no, not you. Despite overwhelming evidence, they found the defendant not guilty. There still exists unequal or unfair justice. Sometimes we do all the right things in a case, but we fail because we live in a society where people cannot always see others who may look different or live a different lifestyle than them as victims who deserve justice. I was shocked beyond belief, devastated to my core after pouring my heart and soul and my very being into this case. And for Shawana, the weight she bore became too much. Less than 2 months after the verdict, she died of an accidental overdose. I could not bring her justice. I could not save her from the demons and the trauma she was trying to escape. But I vowed to never forget her and to continue to fight for all sexual assault and abuse victims, but especially those who are marginalized in our society by their race, class, gender, or identity. I tell you Shawana's story not as one of despair, but as a reminder of the power that you have as agents of change. And in the hope that through your efforts, we can assure the next Shawana Hall that justice will be done. To that end, I want to offer some advice as you begin your careers. First, find the issues that fuel your advocacy. Look for a calling, not a career. It's okay if you don't have it all figured out this very day. What do you care deeply about? Try and remember why you wanted to become a lawyer, even at the most general level. I knew I wanted to help people, and that has translated well into a career advocating for victims and being a fair and just prosecutor. Second, live your values. You are entering the real world during times of tremendous uncertainty. I recently read an article about how to deal with uncertainty, and what stayed with me and struck me was this advice: focus on your values and do what matters to you. We can't control everything, and believe me, this is hard, especially for many of us who likely come to law school as type A's who so like to control everything. But you can choose to act in furtherance of your own values every single day. For me, my core values include that truth matters, that facts matter, that I should do what's right even when it's hard, and that I look for ways to help others. Next, believe in equal justice for all people under the law, and keep fighting for the vulnerable and the marginalized, whether as this is the full focus of your career or if done through pro bono opportunities. Some of you are already committed to social justice and are working to make these ideals a reality. You're already using your opportunities and your power and your voice to shine lights on inequality, systemic racism, police and criminal justice reform, and other areas of social justice. Keep doing this. Despite being the first in my family to graduate from college and law school, I acknowledge and I am well aware of my own privileges. And I commit to use my opportunities and my privileges to help others. I hope you will too. Next, I encourage you each to find gratitude in your life. I promise you, someone somewhere is praying for your troubles and your problems. I know that's hard to believe as you enter an uncertain job market or face looming student loan repayment. But I promise you, actively finding things to be grateful for is not only good in itself, it can recharge you and push you to do the hard and important work that is so necessary right now. Next, strive to find balance. You can have a meaningful and impactful career and still have a rich and fulfilling life outside of your work. It's not always easy, but it is worth it. Finding this balance may mean seizing new career opportunities or being more flexible about what you envision your career to be. I am an example of that. I left the Attorney General's office in my position as a prosecutor in the wake of the biggest case I had ever handled. I needed a change, both personally and professionally, and I strove to make it work. Lastly, do not give up. Meaningful change takes time. It is easy to get disillusioned or depressed or feel like you cannot or are not making a difference, especially when we see so much injustice daily. But even radical change comes in incremental steps. So don't give up, even when you feel like you're making baby steps. Make a commitment to social justice. The world needs you now more than ever. Wayne Law, class of 2020, congratulations on all you have accomplished and achieved. Your hard work, perseverance, and resilience have made you ready for what comes next. You are warrior strong. And never forget that you have a network of leaders in the law, over 11,000 Wayne Law alumni, me included, who will be some of the proudest and loudest supporters celebrating your successes. Now go change the world.
Thank you, Angela. Our next speaker is a graduate of Wayne Law's class of 1971, former Chief Justice of the Michigan Supreme Court, Chair of Wayne State University's Board of Governors, and the law school's distinguished jurist in residence. I welcome Justice Marilyn Kelly, who will bring remarks on behalf of the board.
On behalf of the Board of Governors, it's my pleasure to welcome the graduates of the law school class of 2020 and send you our deepest and most heartfelt congratulations. We're in the midst of a public crisis the likes of which today's society has never experienced. We comfort each other by saying, "This too shall pass," and in time it will. But there are three things that I hope will not pass and fade with time delegated to the back pages of your book of memories. They are the legal knowledge you've garnered, the treasured friendships you've made, and the amazing wisdom you've gained during your time as a student at Wayne State Law School. You've worked hard to get to this moment, and you can be proud, as we are, of your accomplishments. This university is an outstanding institution, and today you join more than 250,000 alumni who call Wayne State their alma mater. Our vibrant, growing campus is a tribute to you and a symbol of our faith in your ability to succeed. Your presence at this graduation ceremony demonstrates how very much can be accomplished by those committed to a goal pursued with diligence. No matter what area of law you've chosen or will end up working in, you will be serving society in some manner and to some degree. And as you become engaged in the practice of law, reflect from time to time on how you personally and collectively can improve on the legal profession's critically important commitment to public service and social responsibility. Find ways to incorporate and meet that commitment in your practice. We know success will be yours. Again, from the Board of Governors and the entire Wayne State University community, congratulations and best wishes to each of you.
Thank you, Justice Kelly. The President of the Student Board of Governors has significant responsibility as leader and chief liaison between our students and the law school administration. Our outgoing SBG president, along with her fellow SBG officers, has played an essential role in building community at Wayne Law. They worked hard throughout their tenure to be a voice for students and an effective partner to the law school administration. I've greatly enjoyed collaborating with them and deeply value all of their efforts this year, and I am confident that their leadership in the legal community is only beginning. I'm happy to introduce the President of the Student Board of Governors for the 2019 to 2020 academic year, Kelly Donnelly, who will recognize the Professors of the Year.
Welcome to the Dean, professors, my fellow graduates whose minds are still recovering from the bar exam, parents who had to put up with graduates the last few months of bar prep, significant others that dealt with graduates for the last 3 to 4 years as law students, siblings who are being forced to watch this, and relatives who will receive the link to this in 3 to 5 days. For those of you who didn't become familiar with me at Wayne Law or through my incessant Facebook posts in our class page, my name is Kelly Donnelly. I'm the president of the Wayne Law Student Board of Governors for the class of 2020. Well, this certainly isn't where I expected to be giving this speech, and I doubt where you all expected to be graduating. Graduating from our living rooms just doesn't have quite the same ambiance as graduating from the Detroit Opera House. I mean, I guess the trade-off is we don't have to spend the entire ceremony worrying that we'll trip while walking across the stage. But whether you're virtually walking across this graduation stage from your parents' kitchen or the bathroom toilet, the accomplishment we have all achieved is monumental, and it should be celebrated with all the pomp and socially distanced circumstances possible. After graduating and taking the bar in the middle of a global pandemic, I think we have all earned that much. When I look back on my time in law school, one thing really sticks out. And no, it is not the mortifying experience of being cold called on the very first day of law school in Professor Winter's constitutional law class and not knowing the answer, although that is a very close second. It is the IRAC formula. And for those in the audience who didn't spend the past 3 years having this strange term burned into your brain, IRAC is an acronym for how to legally analyze a set of facts, stating an issue, rule, analysis, and conclusion in that order. Basically, anything can be broken down and solved if you just use the IRAC formula. So I'd like to leave you all with one last IRAC here today. The issue being whether we're all really prepared to be lawyers. And the rule, well, this is a totality of the circumstances analysis, so no one factor is dispositive. And then as to the analysis, I mean, we made it. We survived law school, and at this point, I do expect you all to cheer. We survived cold calls, writing our first briefs, figuring out, or not, how to blue book cite, getting our first legal job, messing up at our first legal job. We made friends who are probably the only people in the entire world who think your joke about constitutional law is funny, and please trust me on that one. We honed our skills in mock trial, moot court, law review and journal, clinics, externships. We are, according to a multiple choice test, all passably ethical people. We developed skills in the fine art of networking, thank you to Tony V's. We all learned how important it is to be prepared with multiple layers of clothes, depending on how the HVAC system felt that day. We learned empathy when, as 2Ls, we could physically feel the pain of the hollow-eyed 1Ls shuffling through the library. We sweated our way through several suits with a special shout out to picture day during orientation, our very first oral arguments, OCIs, and class whenever the AC wasn't working. And finally, we ended our law school career in probably one of the most uncertain times in recent memory, with all of the grace and humor and adaptability of a class that started their law school journey during the full solar eclipse. So, in conclusion, I think we are pretty prepared to be lawyers, and not just any lawyers, but great lawyers. Warrior lawyers. And that is why I am so proud to be graduating with all of you right now. Because while the circumstances are difficult and the challenges we face as new lawyers are great, I also could not think of a better time for us to become lawyers. When the injustices of our legal system are the most visible, when the inequities in our country are at the forefront of people's minds, we as warrior lawyers get to be part of that solution. Law school at times felt longer than a Scalia descent, but we have made it to the other side. So congratulations, class of 2020. I can't wait to see what we all do next. Now, before I go, I do have the honor of presenting two especially deserving professors with the Professor of the Year Award, as voted on by the entire student body. These professors both go above and beyond the call of teaching, adding compassion and excitement into the classroom. I mean, just learning how to utilize Zoom should be an award in and of itself. I know I speak on behalf of all the students when I say that Wayne Law is lucky to have professors like these two. The winner of the 1L Professor of the Year Award is an expert on constitutional law and religious freedom and is now a 7-time recipient of this award. Congratulations, Professor Christopher C. Lund.
Thanks so much, Kelly, for the 1L Professor of the Year Award. It means so much to me. To the graduates, congratulations, and I'm so grateful for the time that we got to spend together. I can't wait to see how your lives unfold, both personally and professionally. It's a great joy of this job to be part of that. Thanks, best wishes, and keep in touch.
The winner of the Upper Class Professor of the Year Award is a criminal law expert and is receiving this award for the 3rd time. Congratulations, Professor William Ortman.
Thank you, Kelly. This is a real honor, and I know that I speak on behalf of my colleagues on the faculty to say that this is a graduating class brimming with intellectual energy and integrity, and above all, a passion for justice. For the last few years, you've been a credit to this institution. I can't wait to watch you bring your talents and hard-won legal knowledge to bear on behalf of your clients. So congratulations, goodbye as students, and welcome as colleagues in the legal profession.
Thank you, Kelly, and congratulations to Professor Ortman and Professor Lund. It's now my pleasure to introduce Wayne State University President M. Roy Wilson.
Hello, everyone, and a special welcome to the Wayne State University Law School Class of 2020. I also would like to welcome your family members and friends, faculty and staff of the law school who are watching today's ceremony. I know this is not the graduation ceremony you dreamed of, but even though we can't gather in person in caps and gowns to celebrate your special day, this doesn't diminish your achievement in any way. So take the time to enjoy this day, this moment, and all the hard work and sacrifice it took you to get here. Today, our students join a distinguished class of citizens. Both the rule of law and those who counsel citizens about the law are indispensable to our society. Both transcend time and cultures. Both deserve our deepest respect. Law is the glue that binds our country and keeps us whole as a people. It is essential to an orderly and safe society. Our Constitution was ratified more than 230 years ago, and the law continues to adapt to the needs of justice. It is as alive today as it was in the 18th century, and you have a continuing responsibility to breathe new life into it. Part of this has to do with others. Your responsibility to serve the less fortunate of our society is made explicit in the oath you take before admission to the Michigan Bar. In that oath, each of you will swear never to reject, from any consideration personal to you, the cause of the defenseless or oppressed. So your calling is much deeper than the letter of the law. Your ultimate duty is to serve as champions and defenders of our freedom. As John Locke wrote, where there is no law, there is no freedom. Whatever direction your career takes you, I trust that you will dedicate yourself to justice and the protection of freedom. They help form the fabric of our democratic ideals, and they are opportunities to make the law work for the good of all Americans. And it has become painfully clear from the events unfolding around us, justice is unevenly applied in our country. We enjoy our liberty unequally, and we have much work yet to do before we achieve equal justice under law. May you always feel the power and the privilege of having been called to serve both your profession and your fellow citizens. Congratulations and best wishes to you all. Thank you.
Our commencement ceremony honors 3 groups of graduating students: those who received their degrees last December, those who received their degrees in the term just ended, and those who will complete their studies at the end of this summer session. President Wilson, upon the recommendation of the faculty of the law school, I present the class of 2020 and recommend them as worthy guardians of the rule of law who will seek to lead and serve our city, state, and nation as advocates for justice.
And now for the conferring of the degrees. The authority to confer each of these degrees is vested by the people of the state of Michigan under the Constitution of the state in the Board of Governors of Wayne State University. And by the Board of Governors, it is delegated to me. Each of these degrees is granted on the recommendation of the appropriate faculty of the university. By the authority vested in me by the Board of Governors, and upon the recommendation of the law school faculty, I do hereby confer upon you the degree for which the faculty has recommended you, and I admit you to all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities of that degree. Congratulations, graduates.
Thank you, President Wilson. We are approaching that important moment, the presentation of this year's graduates. Before we read your names, I want to share some final words with you. I've been a law professor for 17 years now. I've participated in a lot of commencement ceremonies. But this is only my 3rd one as a dean, and it is my first one as a dean accompanying a class all the way through law school. As your dean, who started just days before many of you did, that makes this one different. We've grown together, and during that time, I've developed a unique perspective on how extraordinary you all are as a class and how extraordinary this law school is. As dean, I might not have been able to spend as much time with each of you individually as I wanted. But I've had an especially good viewpoint for appreciating how your many individual achievements contribute to an even greater good and to our great law school's reputation and mission of justice for all. You inspire me, and you inspire all of us. As you step out into the world as graduates, I urge you to remember the importance of perspective. In many ways, perspective is central to what we teach in law school. How to see a transaction, an argument, a case, a problem from multiple angles and points of view. To turn it around and analyze it from many different directions. You're going to need that skill in the years ahead, not just as lawyers, but also as people. In fact, those who are most effective as lawyers are almost always those who are also most effective as people. Your qualities as a person, your professionalism, integrity, grit, passion, discipline, how you treat others, the character with which you face adversity will be just as important to your long-term success and impact as a lawyer as is your academic record, and probably much more so. Don't forget that. And don't forget that careers are long, winding, and unexpected. At this moment, you might not know exactly what you are going to do or want, and that's okay. Your law degree is the most versatile tool you have. You'll be able to do just about anything with it. And all of you, by definition, by reaching this milestone, and by so admirably confronting the many challenges that you face this year, have what it takes. As Wayne Law alumni, you're now members of a network more than 11,000 strong, filled with attorneys, senators, justices, activists, engineers, at least 2 opera singers, fashion industry leaders, business people, and so many others. Leverage that network. Our support doesn't stop when this stream ends. On the issue of perspective, I also want to take a moment to return to a subject I mentioned earlier: the killing of George Floyd and the long overdue national moment of activism his death catalyzed. Writing in dissent just 4 years ago in Northeast Ohio Coalition versus Husted, a voting rights case, Judge Damon J. Keith, a graduate of this law school, rightly admonished that the murders of countless men and women who struggled for equal protection cannot be overlooked. I will not forget. I cannot forget. Indeed, America cannot forget the pain, suffering, and sorrow of those who died for equal protection and for the ongoing struggle for civil rights. Judge Keith's words are a powerful reminder of the battles and obligations, indeed of the perspectives, that should matter most to us as lawyers and to society. Black lives matter. We must say their names: George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and countless others, and remember our long history as we face the fight ahead. Those of us with privilege, like myself, and all of us who have been able to move through society without the fear and fact of daily bias, discrimination, and barriers to our own pursuit of happiness simply because of the color of our skin, must have the perspective and courage to acknowledge that privilege. Graduates, your actions this past year already have shown that you have that perspective, and I both thank you for that and urge you to hold on to that perspective in everything you do. And now, it's my great pleasure to turn to the reading of the graduates' names. Without further ado, I ask Senior Associate Dean Susan Cancelosi and members of the Wayne Law faculty and administration to present the graduates.
President Wilson and Dean Bierschbach, we, the faculty and staff of Wayne State University Law School, are delighted to present to you the individuals who received the degree of Juris Doctor or Master of Laws in December 2019 and May 2020, as well as the individuals who are expected to receive the degree of Juris Doctor or Master of Laws in August 2020.
Adriana Nicole Aguilera, Ali Khalil Ajami, Asma Al-Kashali, Joseph Allison, Laura Alton,
Jenna Elizabeth Astolfi, Zainab Ayub, Meredith Cecilia Banks, Tariq Baraka, Alexis V. Barbacci.
Nathaniel Bazidlo. Lillian Bellinger Katzman. Boris Berkovich. Jacob Zachary Bolton. Claire Boren.
Mark Bria. Donald J. Brewer Jr. Jeffrey Bullard Jr. Michael A. Berger. Aaron Butler.
Samantha Brianna Bynum. Connor Kaplis. Casey Cheney. Danielle Rose Chidiak. H. Eugene Cho.
Robert Mansfield Cleary III. Cecily Jade Portavia. Emily Lean Coratori, Master of Laws in Corporate and Finance Law. Patrick George Costello. Caitlin M. Cox.
Micah Joel Cross. Elaine Marie Dalrymple. Alana Denhut. Megan Mary Denhut. Deja Marche Dial. Andrew Howard Diamond.
Kelly Maureen Donnelly. Zachary Dropchek. Megan Dreyer. Olivia Victoria Dresovich. Emily Grace Emerson.
Monique Starr Eubanks. Connor Farley. Evan Fitzai. Taras Garapiak. Jamila Janie Garmo.
Brett Gary Garwood. Sadia Ghazi. Priscilla Gitza. Kareem Gibson. Aaron James Getch.
Benjamin Avi Goldstein. Roy Anthony Greenia. Samer Hamadi. William R. Hancock. Vera Sophia Hansen.
Joel Gregory Hetline. Jeffrey Thomas Hewlett. Taylor Hilton. Tommy C. Hines. Megan Marie Holberg.
Richard Hogg, Alex Holzhauser, Shannon Elizabeth Housley, Connor M. Hughes, Eli Hides,
Anthony Jabor, Michael Janukian, Erica Gillig, Sterling Johnson,
Katrina Capture, Elizabeth Ann Kellogg, Margaret Elizabeth Kelly,
Danielle Louise Kennebrew, Master of Laws in Labor and Employment Law. Alex Khalifa, Sean Ali Khan, Joan King, Master of Laws in Labor and Employment Law.
Jason Crass, Alexander Le Krasuski, Elise Kathleen Lisney, Alexander George Medias, Savannah Jean Main,
Ramzi Masri, Paul Matuka, Amanda McSween, Dean Robert Michael, Colette Noel Mills,
Elizabeth Moore, Mackenzie Moore, Joshua David Ulick, Fadi Ala Nakash, Catherine Battersby Niedermeyer,
Casey Nito, Catherine Hazel Olds, Cregan Z. Oster, Essence Sierra Patterson,
Lauren Purney, Ryan Joseph Peterson, Jared Robert Edward Pickering, Richard Avery Plowden,
Heather Nagraki Powers, Olive Ranjitam, Master of Laws in U.S. Law. Dana Robinson, Shelby Marissa Rose,
Corey Samuels Rosen, Ryan Olivia Rosenberg, Maggie Rourke, Paul Edward Repka,
Jahan Salah, Fanika Salam, William Clark Sanford, Molly Marie Savage,
Mark Service,
Jonathan Farris Sheena. Vivian Maria Barbosa Silva, Master of Laws in United States Law. Caitlin Simmons.
Supriya Singh, Master of Laws in Corporate and Finance Law. Stephanie Alexandra Smart Tovar. Alexis Smith Scott. Nazri Mohammed Sob. Meliki Soraya.
Joseph D. Sova. Joshua Starr. Paige Alexis Steiger. Nicholas John Stock II. Adam Richard Struble.
Alex Summers. Ryan Tak. Nathan Tajima. James Wayne Taylor II. Kevin Michael Thompson.
Mitchum Tibbs. Emma Emmanuel Trevex. Benjamin J. Vanderwerp. Gregory Varanish.
Arthur A.J. Wagner. Aaron J. Walton. Jessica A. Werner. Joshua Wicker.
Robert Woolley. James Rock. Ryan Wojcik. Umid Yakubov, Master of Laws in United States Law.
Pierre Yaldo. Yezi Yan. Zachary Yancer. Hubert Yi. Joseph Paul Zanetti. In memory, Joy Brickerson. In memory, David Coper Janer. This concludes our 2020 virtual commencement ceremony. But this is not the last time we will celebrate. I look forward to seeing all of you together again for an in-person celebration as soon as we can safely have one. In the meantime, congratulations, Wayne Law alumni.